Okay, so we are live at Empty Cloud. There are 4 people joining us so far. We'll just give it another minute or two. I know everyone has busy schedules, busy lives, so we'll give a little grace period of a couple minutes before we start. And hello to Rick and hello to Manal. Luisa, hello. Yeah, feel free to send greetings in the chat. Norma, hello. Karuna, hello. Margaret, hello. Jason, hello to you. Manal, yes, that's correct. Yeah. Now I'm here at Empty Cloud. All right, so we'll start in 1 more minute. Oh, hello, Jayanta. ¿Cómo te? Everything good? Okay, I think we can start now. Okay, everyone. I'm Sanata Vihari Bhikkhu. If you haven't seen me before. And today I'll do a guided meditation today for all of you. So before we get started, just make sure that you're in a comfortable position, whatever that looks like, depending on your body. Sitting on a chair, on a cushion, laying down, whatever works. Just try to make sure that you're in a position in which your back is straight and you're both relaxed and you can maintain alertness. And, not too comfortable where you get sleepy. So just settle into your seat or whatever position you're in. And you can close your eyes if you like. Or if you like, you can leave them open. Just kind of have a gentle gaze downwards, about like 2 or 3 feet in front of you if you are keeping your eyes open. We don't want your eyes wandering around. Just kind of gently focus downwards. Or close your eyes. Let's start off by checking our posture. So try to have a nice, stable, grounded posture. And let's start off by just grounding a little bit more, grounding a bit deeper, by bringing our attention to where our body meets our seat, or our body makes contact with the floor or the cushion or the chair. And just feel that sensation of solidity where your body meets the ground or the cushion. Focus on that tactile sensation, on the weight of the body. You might notice some uncomfortable pressure there. That's fine. We might find a lot of things that we're not used to when we hone in our attention, gather our attention. So really focus on your body, the weight of the body, your posture. Cultivating a solid, still groundedness in the body. So throughout this meditation, I'm going to keep inviting you to check your posture and keep inviting you to stay grounded and anchor your attention on the body. If at any time your mind begins to wander, that's okay. You can just make a note if you like, mind is wandering, and gently bring back your attention to the body, the solidity, the weight of the body's posture. And really focus on feeling the body. Feeling the entire body from head to toes, front, back, all around. Enveloping, encompassing your entire body in awareness. Aware of the entire body. Maybe you can notice the weight of your head on your neck. Maybe you can notice the solidity of your teeth in your mouth. The weight of your shoulders as they hang off your torso. Focus on the feeling of the weight of your arms and hands as they also hang off your torso. And if your hands are on your lap or touching each other, focus on that sensation of where your hands and arms rest on your legs or on each other. Feel that tactile solidity of the body, the weight of it. You can also now move your attention to your torso, the chest and the abdomen and the back. And just try to feel into this part of the body. You might notice the rigidity of the spine, the solidity of your shoulder blades or ribs. The weight of it, the density of the torso. Just really focus on that feeling the body. And if you ever encounter a feeling or are triggered by some physical sensation that feels too overwhelming, I invite you to just release it and move your attention somewhere else. There's no need to stay with something that feels too overwhelming or too triggering. So if any time while we're doing this body scan, you feel overwhelmed or triggered, just go ahead and take care of yourself. And then come back as we continue through this meditation. Now we can focus on our hips and pelvic area, tailbone, where we can really feel, those of us that are sitting, the weight of the body on the cushion or the chair. So much sensation. So much going on here. You can really feel all the weight of the body coming down on your seat. And remember to check your posture, back straight. Slowly go down to our legs and our knees, our shins, ankles, feet, and toes. For those of us that are sitting on a cushion, you can also feel the weight of your body as it gets distributed down your legs onto your knees and ankles and your feet. And if you're sitting on a chair, just focus on the soles of your feet and your toes as they touch the ground. Feel that sensation of solidity of the body. If your mind wanders, no worries. Gently bring your attention back to the body. Now we'll slowly make our way back up from our toes to our feet, ankles, shins, knees, upper legs, hips, torso, our fingers, our hands, our arms, our shoulders, our neck, our head. Aware of the entire body, in touch, attuned with the entire body. Observing the tactile sensations, the solidity of the body, the weight of the body, finding stillness in the body. Now I invite you to bring your attention to the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Focus on feeling the breath. Feeling the entire breath as you breathe in, as you breathe out. This is also a tactile sensation. The breath is also the body. And we can explore the variety of sensations that arise as we breathe in and we breathe out. In our nostrils, throat, chest, abdomen. As our torso expands and contracts every time we breathe in and breathe out. Really try to hone into this process and experience all the feelings, all the sensations. And we can also notice if the breath is long or short as we breathe in and breathe out. We can notice if we're breathing fast or slow. Take some time to notice the length and rate of the breath. From time to time, checking back with your posture, making sure your back is straight. Becoming aware of the rate and length of the breath as we breathe in, as we breathe out. Feeling the breath coming into the body. Feeling the breath as it leaves the body. And if your mind begins to wander, no worries. Gently bring your attention back to the breath. You may notice a subtle level of calm and tranquility that has arisen in your experience. Try to lean into that feeling of comfort and calm. Lean into that feeling of peace. There is a slight pleasure that arises every time we breathe in and breathe out. And when the body's relaxed, mind is calm, we experience joy. Happiness. The happiness of stillness, tranquility, calmness. It might be very subtle. Just try to attune to it. Lean into it. Cultivate it. The smooth, fresh air as we breathe in, and the relief of letting it go. So now that you've noticed this joy, this comfort, this peacefulness, let's develop it further. by creating an intention, making a wish. May I be joyful. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I be still. May I be joyful. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I be still. Cultivating, developing this wholesome state of mind, this blameless happiness, independent of sensuality. May I be well, happy, joyful, peaceful, and still. Tapping into that inner joy that arises from stillness, tranquility, mindfulness, awareness, understanding. May I be joyful, peaceful, and still. We will expand and extend our intention, our wish to those beings that share our living space. Maybe in your room or in your house, apartment, wherever you may be. May all beings in this place, whether large or small, human or non-human, known or unknown, find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness. Continue to extend and expand, radiate joyfulness and peacefulness and stillness to all those beings, wherever you may be. May they also find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness. Checking your posture from time to time. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Bring it back to the body. And from the body, tap into that stillness and joy and continue radiating this good intention, this goodwill towards all beings. May all beings in this place find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness. Now we can extend this intention, this meditation, to encompass all the beings in your neighborhood. Down the street, around the corner. May all beings in this neighborhood find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness. May all beings in this neighborhood find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness. And from the neighborhood, we can continue to the city, to the state, country, continent, the entire world, the entire planet. May all beings on this planet, whether in the air, ground, or sea, human or non-human, large or small, known or unknown, may they find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness. May all beings on this planet find stillness, peacefulness, joy, and happiness, encompassing the entire world with your joy, connecting with the joy of others. So very gently and slowly, begin to withdraw your attention from the world and finding an anchor in the breath and body, in the breathing in and breathing out, in your posture, in the weight of your body, grounding yourself again. Coming back to the body, attuning to the body. And slowly and gently, you can begin to come out of your meditation, gently opening your eyes, gently rocking your body, or doing whatever you need to do. So through the power of this harmonious practice, you have developed skillful, wholesome states of mind. And let's focus on this skillfulness, this wholesomeness, this goodness of mind. And let's make a wish. By the power of this harmonious action, may I be free from bad company, and may I always have good companions until I attain Nibbana. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satam samagemo hotu yaveni banapatiya. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so I'll just give everyone a few seconds to just bring their attention back out towards their screens or phones or speakers. Hello, Bhumika, Kim, Sam, again, Jayanta and Joseph. Hello to everyone out there in the cyber world, wherever you may be. So today is meditation and Dhamma talk. And before I begin my Dhamma talk, I would like to pay my respects to the Buddha. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Bhante Sudaso and Aya Soma for having me here. And I'd like to thank Aya also and all the other monastics from Empty Cloud that are scattered all over the world right now. And also all the supporters, all the upasikas, dayukas that keep this place running. Without the lay people, we'd really be homeless. Not only in name, but in reality, and a lot skinnier too. So I'd just like to thank everyone out there for this beautiful opportunity. You'll be seeing a lot more of me, for better or worse, depending, what you think of my Dhamma talks or whatever. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to put that out there before we start. And usually I'm a preemptively, kind of talk about what kind of always ends up being the topic when I first show up to a place, right? Which is usually me. Who are you? What brought you to the Dhamma and all of these things? And somewhere in there, you'll find the Dhamma, because the Dhamma is not somewhere else, in some other place, in some other time. The Dhamma is always present in every moment, in everything that we do. Because the Dhamma is just reality. The way things are, the way things arise and cease. And our duty in this life is to attune to the Dhamma, to live according to the Dhamma, to live according to reality. Cat's being funny. We all know how cats like to mess with things. So, I'm Sanata Vihari Bhikkhu, and I come from Sarath Chandra Buddhist Center in North Hollywood, California, which is a Sri Lankan center. And Mexican American, grew up in LA. And to me, I think what I would like to focus on is just how, the Dhamma is so close to us that we don't see it, right? It's like right here, and we kind of take it for granted. It's too close for us to actually see. Kind of like those little things in your vision, like in your eyeballs. If you focus, you see those like little, I don't know what they're called, but they look like little bubbles in your vision. It's like that close. Most of the time you don't see it, but if you take time, you can find those little bubbles in your eyes. So the Dhamma is like that. And that was my own experience in this life, at least. That now looking back, I was like, wow, I was so blind. The Dhamma was always there, and sometimes very obviously. But yeah, the moha is very strong. The delusion is very strong, right? And our own ways of doing things, of our own habits, our own impulses and desires and cravings and inclinations and underlying tendencies and all of these things really make it difficult to see clearly. And I remember now, looking back, growing up, that there was a Buddhist vihara like 2 blocks away from my house in Koreatown. Since I'd lived in Koreatown since I was born, and there was just one around the corner. I didn't know about it until like 10 years ago, but the monks were there, and that's one is called the International Buddhist Meditation Center, and the Dalai Lama had been there during that time. Bhikkhu Bodhi was there, all the heavy hitters. They were all there, and little Bante, just roaming the streets and getting into trouble, things like that. But they were right there, all of these disciples of the Buddha, all these sons and daughters of the Buddha were right next to me from day one. And then later, I found out that my 2 teachers, which are the abbot and deputy abbot of the vihara which I'm staying at, when I moved to Hollywood, they were already in Hollywood too, down the street actually, not too far. And they were there while I was there in Hollywood. And not only that, they were going to Hollywood High School for adult school to learn English, to be able to go to university. And I was also going to Hollywood High School, They were there. Dhamma was there. The Sangha was there. The Buddha was there again. Not only that, but I was luckily enough, Hollywood has a district called Thai Town. I had a lot of Thai friends. The Dhamma was there in my Kalyanamitas, my friends right there in high school. And that's the time that I started reading Dhamma books, starting with His Holiness the Dalai Lama's book, The Joy of Living and Dying. Which it was just I didn't know anything about Buddha. It was just that cover, like the joy of living. I was like, yes, I love living. The joy of dying. No, I don't even want to think about it, right? I remember bringing it up to my family, or someone brings it up in the family. But what about when you die, or if you die? Don't even talk about it. Don't even think about it, right? Like, death is so bad, we can't even name it or talk about it. So how can you be joyful? But then the Dalai Lama, in that book, talked about the Noble Eightfold Path and how to practice it. And he talked about the difficulties and all the beautiful things that happened in his life by practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. And that really caught my attention. So then from there on, I kept reading more and more Dhamma books, and I became a book Buddhist, right? Where you're just a Buddhist through reading, And I didn't know at that time, but my current teachers, the abbots of the temple where I'm staying at, they moved to North Hollywood. And around the same time, guess who else moved to North Hollywood? I did. And their vihara, because they were donated a house, was just down the street from my house, but I never found it because it's just a house. Many of you know that Sri Lankan monks just like get a house and they live in there, and that's the vihara. So like, there's no signs. You can't tell it's a temple. It just looks like a neighbor's house. So there they were again. And then they were going to community college and at Los Angeles Community College. Guess who after high school also went to Los Angeles Community College? Me. It's like, wow. There we go again. Everywhere I go, the Dhamma's there. Then when I was in the Air Force, luckily enough, there was I had a Thai friend, and then he was also Buddhist. And he showed me a picture of when he was a little Samanera in Thailand. And he was so cute. Yeah, Max, if you're listening, hello. Yeah. So he's I talked to him about my interest in the Dhamma when we were in the Air Force together. And then throughout my life, just so many things like this, encountering people, encountering books, finding myself in situations where, anicca, dukkha, and anatta are very apparent. Wanting things to be a certain way and not being that way. Which is what happens from the moment that we wake up to when we go to sleep. We have an idea about how the day's going to look like. Never turns out exactly the way we thought it was going to. For good or worse. Sometimes it's for good, sometimes it's for worse. Things are always changing. I would have never thought that I would have became a Buddhist monk. That was like not something that was even in my head. I had planned out my whole life to retire from the Air Force, and then do what all other vets do, which is like just move around the country and just kind of like once you're 40, just kind of do whatever you want because you only have to do 20 years so you retire really early. And I was like, that's a good life, You're like still kind of young, you're in your 40s and kind of like free and you do whatever you want. I would have never thought I would have become a monk, but that very solid plan that I had dissolved. I had all these other ideas about like family and the kind of person that I wanted to be. And all of that also changed. Everything's always changing. But at that time, I didn't know how to accept it, and I didn't want to accept it. So it came with a lot of dukkha, a lot of suffering. Having certain expectations, and then those expectations not being met. From wanting to have a good day, maybe you wake up in a good mood, and then something unforeseen happens. Maybe the salsa at the taco truck is not too good, and then next thing you know, you're going to the bathroom all day. You woke up really happy, but now you're going to the toilet. But if you're at work, that can be a blessing, right? You can probably even get the day off. So, it depends how you look at it. But you have a certain plan that a day has to involve like no diarrhea. If diarrhea comes, then it's a bad day. But then there's the good side of it where like, hey, maybe you get off work, right? Or maybe you see how other people start being kind to you because you feel sick and people start caring about you and tending to you. And you're like, oh, wow. I never knew that people could be so kind, that people would worry about me. that people would be calling me, "Are you okay? What can I get you?" That wasn't planned either. So change, usually when we talk about change, we focus on the negative part, right? The dukkha part, because that's the one we don't like. But it's really about the perspective that we have on change. I mean, that's what Nibbana is all about. If you become an arahant, a Pacheka Buddha or Samasan Buddha, things keep changing. The change is not going to stop. The only difference is that, you have changed. Your perspective, you have samaditi now, right view about change. And when you make that pivot, that's when the happiness comes, right? Change can be there, and you can be permanently happy. The Buddha said, Nibbanam paramam sukham. Nibbana is the highest happiness. Change doesn't have to be dukkha. Change can be sukha. Permanent sukha. All the time. But that's hard to understand when you go to the club with your friends and you approach a girl and you get rejected, and you come back to the table and your friends are kind of laughing at you, and you're like, "Oh, this is not so good. This is embarrassing. This is dukkha." Yeah. So all that's really happened from when I first encountered the Dhamma to where I'm at now is just that shift, that very slight, subtle shift of perspective, like I told you with the little things in your eyes. Like if I just stare for a little bit, I can see them there, just like a little slight shift. That's all it is. From dukkha to sukha, it's that little tiny shift. We don't have to read the entire Tipitaka, or we don't have to plan a trip to the other side of the world and go into a jungle and get eaten up by mosquitoes. Right? Or we don't have to pay for like thousands of dollars for a retreat in one of these places. Because it's right there. It's just this little pivot that we need to make. Who I was before I came into the Dhamma and became a monk to who I am now, it's pretty much the same. Nothing much has really changed. Just that little shift. All the happiness, all the freedom, all the peace, all the tranquility, all these things that are so lovely happen with this little tiny thing, almost imperceivable. It's hard to speak about it. Because the Dhamma is both subtle, and vast. You can find it in anything. In the suttas, there's all these like occasions where someone just hears like the Buddha say something in very short, or someone has some experience and they become awakened. I remember this story from in the Dhammapada about these two brothers, and one of them is very dull and the other one's just a normal guy. And the normal monk tries to get his brother to leave because he's so dull he can't even remember, I think, like one gatha or like a verse of what the Buddha says. And the brother's so embarrassed of his younger brother who's dull, and he kicks him out. Leave, get out of here. And when he's about to leave, the Buddha sees the brother crying. He tells him, "Where are you going?" "Oh, my brother kicked me out." And the Buddha says, "You know what? Get this white cloth and just rub it, and say," I think it says like removing the impurities or something like that. And he's just rubbing it under the sun, and he's sweating and sweating. And just by rubbing that and doing that, he became awakened. He became an arahant, right? Just by rubbing a white cloth or a white rag, fully awakened. He didn't have to know all the suttas, right? He didn't go on a 1 month, 3-year meditation retreat, He didn't have to do this crazy puja. All those things, nothing, just rubbing that cloth, right? That's all he had to do. Because it's that easy or that hard. It's only that. It's that little thing. What happened right there when he was watching that and seeing the cloth getting dirtier? It was just that little shift. And then he was free. Same thing with Angulimala, right? Stop running, Samana. Stop running. I've already stopped running. You're the one who keeps going. What? Little shift. Bahia Daruchiria too. In the scene, there's only the scene, right? In the herd, there's only the herd. Like that. All of that to say is that looking back, I see all these little moments in my life where the Dhamma was right there and it pervaded my entire life. So many opportunities lost because I thought that to be happy or to be better or to change, you have to be the Atlas, right? Carry the world on your back, or you have to do something completely monumental. But that was just dukkha. All I had to do was just see what's happening in front of me. Become fully aware of what's happening right now. To be happy. Instead of thinking that happiness is somewhere else in the future with a title or with a degree or with a bunch of zeros in a bank account or with someone really beautiful next to you, or whatever your thing is. But that's always over there somewhere. It's not here right now and what's happening. And it's always a lot of work to do that, right? All these things you have to do to get there. But the Dhamma is just right here. In every arising and ceasing of every experience, moment, thought, feeling, sound, taste, touch. It's right there. It's free too. Remember that. It's free. Don't let anyone else convince you of something else. In this society, right? We all think we need to pay. If they tell you free meditation, you're like, oh, that's not good meditation because it's free. You can come stay at a monastery or retreat for free. Oh, it must not be a good place because it's free. Right? You can meditate in whatever position you want. You don't need a fancy cushion or mala or anything. Oh, that must not be a good way to do it because it's free. But that's why it's so good, because it's free. If something's free, it actually tells you the true value of it. Cat's being naughty again. So what time do we go? I forgot. 7:30? All right. I'd like to leave some time for any questions that you can put in the chat or here in studio. Any questions in studio? I always like to do Dhamma discussions and Dhamma talks. I like back and forth. So I'll give you some time. Oh, Champika. Hello, Champika. I hope you can come visit us. And Screaming Inhale. Oh, that's a cool name. You got a little anime guy there. Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments or you want me to elaborate. Yes, I
have something. I think about the people that the Buddha is able to just cue into what they need to hear or what they need to. And so I have this idea, if I look at the suttas again and again, there's going to be something that's just going to. But I think we also at the same time, like, we are developing. Mm-hmm. There's that tipping point that you talked about. It's not, mm-hmm. I mean, like, so not to frustrate people if they don't get it right away, but I think, yeah, so everybody has their own unfolding and anyway, you might want to, I don't know if you feel like talking about that a little bit, yes. But there's both the gradual and the sudden. Mm-hmm. Yes. I know in Zen they have these like two schools. One's the sudden school, one's the gradual. path.
Mhm.
I think it's both.
Yes. I also think that. So it is a gradual path of many lives, actually, countless lives. But once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's the instantaneous awakening, the spontaneous one. So there comes a tipping point. You come to a certain place, you come to the edge of the cliff, and once you see it, oh wow, the deepness of that cavern, you can't unsee it anymore, and you're forever changed. But to get to the edge of the cliff might take a long time, right? Like to walk there. But at the same time, the reason I didn't focus on the gradual path is because I see this emphasis, especially for like in the West, we have this whole like work hard culture, right? And earn your worth and productivity, So I was kind of, I guess, I was speaking, kind of against that. That was the point of what I was talking about, because I feel that's so ingrained in us that we need to work hard and push hard and strive and like all this kind of thing, and our value is found only in as much as we suffer. The more you suffer, the more value you have. And sometimes we come into the Dhamma like that, like, well, if I sit long enough and I experience enough pain, then I'm a good meditator, or I'm whatever, like, or if I buy all the books and I read everything, and then I'll be good enough to understand, or all these things, right? Like travel across the world. And so yes, it does require a lot of. It's a path of purification, right? So we're through this process of distillation, or filtering out all those things that contaminate the mind. But we're not trying to get something. We don't need more things. The problem is that we're grasping onto too many things and clinging and holding too many things, like ideas about, I'll become awakened, or I'll be happy when X. It's always conditioned. But the Dhamma is unconditioned. So the more conditions you put on it, you're kind of just putting more obstacles in the way, instead of releasing and letting go and being here in the moment. So my path did require a lot of studying, and I gone through all the four suttas collections, and over and over and over again. I've read them so many times, but because I've read them so many times, I can tell you that you don't need to read all of them so many times. Right? It was like Dogen in Japan. He wrote all these things about Buddhism, and then he says, just sitting is Buddhism. So some of these things you realize once you go through all the motions, right? You kind of have to go through the motions, and then you realize, oh, of course I didn't have to do those things. But it was only through doing those things that you realize that you didn't have to do all those things, right? It's like a catch-22 or something. So yeah, it does evolve, to Aya's point, it does evolve a lot of work and dedication and faith that think that there is something else out there, right? That there is a happiness, that there is a relief, that there is a nibbana that can be achieved by you in this very life. Because that's one thing I've noticed, like, oh, nibbana's for monastics or something like that. Like the monastics are going to reach nibbana and not me. I'm just a layperson. No. Nibbana's for everyone. It's for everyone. It's that very idea that you think that you can't, that is stopping you from doing it. So this whole thing about nibbana, when it comes to awakening, it's about us stumbling over ourselves, on ourselves, getting in our own way. You need to get out of your own way for nibbana. Yeah. Okay, let me check the chat. No questions, no comments from the chat. We still got like a minute. Anyone here? Any other residents? Anything? Okay, so right on the dot. Oh, there's something there. Bante, are you aware of a local or online Sutta study group that goes gradually throughout all the volumes? I was doing something like that, but it was only in Spanish, and I did it for 2 years. But this year I just didn't have the time to do it. I'm not aware, but I know Bhikkhu Bodhi's always got so many things. So just like go find out what Bhikkhu Bodhi's doing online, or go to his YouTube channel where all this, like, he's gone through so many things already, all these courses that he's already done. So I think that would be the best way to go about it. Just find what Bhikkhu Bodhi's already done, or join one of his groups where he goes through suttas. Thank you, Bhante. Okay. So, do we do any kind of chanting or ceremonies after the Dhamma talks here, or what do we do?
Whatever you'd like. Okay, it's really up to you.
Okay. So I don't really do anything. So I just would like to wish everyone, may you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. May you ever be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hasta luego.